A lot of people in my private entrepreneurial network or people joining my weekly webinars will often ask me about the top 10 business books that I'd recommend for online business owners, or really just anyone who wants to create some serious growth in their own business. Now, I spent a bit of time thinking about which have been the most impactful for me that I've read over the years. And I've come up with what I think is a pretty concise top 10 for anyone who's kind of looking to follow that journey of online business. Now, some of the books are physical books, so I have physical copies of stuff, but most of the time that I'll read books, I read or listen to on Audible. So that's really what I'm going to focus on here. And for links to any of the books that I talk about, any of these 10, I'll spend some time gathering links down below in the comments. Sorry, not in the comments, in the description. I'll gather links for Audible and for Amazon. So whether you want the audio copy or the physical copy, I'll make sure there's a link there for the exact book. And also, as you're watching this video, if you've actually read any of these books yourself and you've got insights from them, please comment below as you're watching. And also, if you have any that you feel that have been seriously powerful for you that you think should be added to this list as well, again, please comment below this video. I'd love to hear your input and thoughts, and any value that you can share with others, of course, will be greatly appreciated as well. All right, so comment below, and don't forget to subscribe if you want more like this, because I'm going to regularly start doing like top 10 business books, top 10 mindset books, top 10 spirituality books, all that kind of stuff, right? So subscribe if you want more like this. So my first book, I've already held it up actually, so no surprise, absolute classic. New York Times, so 20 years as the #1 personal finance book of all time, not even New York Times, all time. This book, Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki, if you haven't read it and you're in business or you want to invest, you want to expand your wealth, this is an absolute must-read book. It is literally the foundation of pretty much every book going into sort of financial wealth building investment. It's the foundational concept of everything. Now, when you start thinking like this and you stop thinking like an employee and start thinking like a business owner or an investor, you start changing the way that you use money. You start investing in yourself or putting aside income to grow wealth. You start building assets instead of liabilities. You start making sure that any liabilities you do have, you're paying for with the returns generated by your assets. All this kind of thing is just shifting the way that we think about money. A great example is a lot of us will think of our house when you own a house. A lot of us will think of our house as an asset. But the definition of an asset is something that puts money into your bank account every month. And does your house put money into your bank account every month, or does it take money out of your bank account every month? And sure, we could justify that at the end, when we paid off the mortgage, we'll have an asset there, but it would only be an asset if you plan on not living anywhere and you plan on selling your home and taking back all the capital and then doing what? Living on the streets? Like, that's not an asset, it's a liability. And so, this book goes into a lot of stuff like this that will really shift our beliefs on money and shift our beliefs around the fact that, in this day and age, so many of us are just brainwashed with the programming of go to school, get a good job, buy a house, get a mortgage, buy a nice car, get a promotion, and then maybe one day retire having just saved and been frugal to hopefully get enough of a nest egg to be able to live out the rest of our lives. Like, that programming is redundant. It's old. Online business nowadays, working for other people in this industrial age system, I don't believe that it's the way that we should do things. And my next book recommendation really highlights this. And that's The 4-Hour Workweek by Tim Ferriss. So this is the first book that I read that literally blew my mind wide open to the possibilities available to all of us with online business. I built my first company in line with how Tim Ferriss talks about building businesses in the 4-hour workweek. And the whole principle is that you don't need to be geographically tied. You don't need to be working for other people. You don't need to invest huge amounts of capital. You don't need to be a millionaire to live an incredible lifestyle. It's possible to have an online business, ticking away, generating you an income, and you can go traveling or exploring, which I did throughout all of 2018. It was 15 months of solid travel. It was awesome, but I've now wanted a bit more of a base to really kind of push things to the next level. But yeah, it's going into this whole concept that, for example, if you're generating £3 a month and you're location independent, you can go to Germany, live in an awesome apartment for a month or so, take language classes, do sort of hobbies and stuff on the side, like guitar lessons from guitar instructors. And this is obviously going into a really bad example here, but it's one of the examples he gives in the book. But the general principle is that to live a life of true time, financial and geographical freedom, it is a lot more in reach than a lot of us think. And like for myself, first online business, within 12 months of starting, quit my job, less than 12 months, was living that lifestyle. Now, disclaimer, like obviously no results are typical. It's just like going to the gym. If one person walks in the gym and gets six-pack abs 6 months later, it does not mean that everyone who walks in the same gym is going to get the same result, right? Online business is no different. There's so many variables. But the fact is that reading this book, it just brought the possibility so much more in reach. I could literally see, well, this is how he's done it. There's a roadmap now of how I could do this too. And that belief, that then fueled me taking the right actions every single day to create that result in a pretty comparatively short amount of time. So definitely read that book. I would recommend it. Another book that has been really powerful for me as well is a classic, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. I think anyone who does business book reviews or basically anyone who is in any way into business or self-development probably has or definitely should read this book. Think and Grow Rich is an absolute classic where Napoleon Hill, he basically went and interviewed 100 of like the world's greatest entrepreneurs at the time. So people like Henry Ford, people like I think Dale Carnegie was one of his mentors. He interviewed Thomas Edison, I believe. There was a whole load of other people as well. And again, the concepts that he talks about in this book are just the foundations of what it takes to be successful. Absolute classic, would absolutely recommend it. If you haven't read it, you've got to read it. And off the back of that, another book which I personally feel is very, very closely at a level with Think and Grow Rich is The Science of Getting Rich by WATTLES. Now, The Science of Getting Rich goes a lot more into the whole sort of concept of manifestation and bringing manifestation into your business, and really how creative thinking and about the vision and stepping into the future of your vision is what will dictate your success. Because without a clear vision and without the belief and the right intention, we're not going to be able to create things in our life. And he talks about how creation of matter, so matter, if we want to create something in our lives, let's say financial results or business results or so on and so forth, for that to exist in matter in the real world, it first has to exist in our thought, in creation. We've got to invent that possibility first. And so that would be that's number 4 recommendation. Number 5, black box thinking. All right, so and by the way, I was going to show you these on Audible as well, just so you've got the title. So 4-hour work week looks like where is it? I can't see the screen at the same time. I think you should be able to see it. One of those ones there. Think and Grow Rich is just below it. I'm ruining my surprise upcoming books by showing you this. So next one, is Black Box Thinking by Matthew SYED. Hold on, my camera's just lost track of my face. There's my face. Black Box Thinking. So Black Box Thinking is it's an awesome book about a particular mindset, and in the main focus of the book is about embracing failure. So he opens the book by talking about how different industries will look at failure differently. So for example, the aviation industry is the prime example, or one of the prime examples of an industry that absolutely embraces failure and learns from it. Because obviously failure in the aviation industry is pretty catastrophic. And so it's critical for them to learn lessons from why things went wrong and then make sure that they can avoid making the same mistakes again. So the success rate, right, of the aviation industry is incredibly high because of the way that they embrace failure. But then if you look at the medical industry, I might get this stat wrong, so if I do, don't bite my head off, but I'm pretty sure the stat is that the 3rd highest cause of death in America behind cancer and heart disease pretty sure that's the top two. Cancer and heart disease is medical error, right? So that's basically a human error in the medical industry has caused a person's death. I think that's the stat. I might have got that wrong. However, the point is that we, in the medical industry, they look at failure very differently, and the public look at failure very differently as well. So if a doctor was to, let's say, have they make a mistake in an operation or something like that, the industry there's much more pressure on doctors to want to cover up that mistake instead of acknowledge and embrace that mistake and then put it out into the open and then look at how that can be improved on or avoided for next time. And so because of that, there's the mentality to shift blame and not take responsibility. It's much harder to learn or improve, and therefore the number of deaths is, again, I think the stat was 200 and something thousand deaths in whatever year they did the survey on. I can't remember. It's all in the book, Black Box Thinking. But the whole concept of embracing failure and taking responsibility and owning your stuff, right? The whole concept is such a centerpiece of everything that I've been talking about for the last 3 years. It's really, really powerful for me in this book to go through those concepts, but also just in terms of success, so what it takes to be successful. And so many of us will have this victim mentality or this blame mentality where we won't want to own, we won't want to take responsibility for ourselves, for our dreams, for our goals, for our failures. We're so scared of failing, we're so scared of judgment from others, we're so busy avoiding looking bad or trying to look good that we're not willing to even try and fail. We're not willing to put ourselves in a position to fail because we make the ramifications of doing so in our own minds. We make it such a big deal. We think that the world is going to crucify us for looking bad, that we just paralyze ourselves and we can't move forwards because we're not willing to fail, and we just shift blame instead of taking responsibility. And when we take responsibility, we take back the power to actually create change in our lives. Because we blame, we just give away the power. And it's just such a huge cause for people failing constantly. And if you get this, if you start thinking like this, big pillar of success. All right, so really powerful book for me as well. So number 6 is a book by Tony Robbins, and it's called Unshakeable. It's that one there. Hopefully you should be able to see it. And Unshakeable is basically a summary version, or it's a more concise version of Money Master the Game, which is basically a paving slab of a book. Really good book. But Unshakeable is more about diving into the sort of the mindset aspects behind investing, how fear operate, or how markets and economics is a lot of the time driven by fear. It talks about the investment strategies that have always weathered the storms, and really how to invest, and sort of our mindset, what our mindset should be when we show up to investing. And Tony Robbins has been just such a big influence in my life for at least the last decade, probably longer, I reckon. There definitely had to be a book from Tony Robbins in here, and it's certainly not his only one. He's got a lot of other books as well that have been very powerful, very influential in my life. But I would definitely recommend, from a business sense, I would absolutely recommend reading or listening to, if you're on Audible, reading that book. Really, really powerful. Now, another one as well, which I have right here on Audible, is top one, Start With Why by Simon Sinek. Now, Start With Why is talking about how businesses, the way businesses go about sort of marketing or getting their message out there, is typically a company would go, they would go, right, this is what we do, and this is how we do it. Okay, and they don't really generally go into why. But then there's certain companies like Apple, for example, that has been a brilliant sort of example of the power of this, is they will start with why they do what they do, and then they will go into how they do what they do, and it's almost an afterthought what they do. Now, this concept of starting with why, this has been the backbone of every company that I've launched since 2016. And the philosophy is, when you're clear about why you do what you do and your values or your business values, you're leading with those, you're actually a stand for something. You will attract people into your business who believe what you believe. And when people believe what you believe, that is when they will follow you for life, because you share values. You know, think about like people get Harley Davidson tattoos. You know, why would people get a tattoo of a motorbike? You wouldn't see like Honda tattoos or, you know, Ducati tattoos and stuff like that. But Harley Davidson, it's about so much more than just a motorcycle. You know, it's, again, I'm not really into Harley, so I'm not going to pretend to know everything that the brand is about, but it's like a culture, it's a community, it's so much more, and that's really the embodiment of why. You know, they stand for something, they have beliefs, they have values, and it's so important to bring that into your business, because when you do that, you'll attract the right people and you'll actually like your customers as well. And that may sound trivial, but it's massive, because so many entrepreneurs make the mistake of building a business that they don't love, helping or serving people that they don't really resonate with and they don't really like, and they end up trapped just living a life where they're doing things every day that don't light them up, and they're surrounded by people who don't inspire them. But when you attract people who believe what you believe, like, can you imagine the environment that you're in every single day when you're just surrounded and drawing people into your world who share those beliefs? It's awesome. And Start With Why is like the epitome of, well, how to do this. You know, so really powerful book. Any entrepreneur in business, you've got to be sure that what you're doing is bigger than just tactics and strategies and hows and what we do and all that stuff. That doesn't move people and that will not last. Okay. Another book that I recommend as well is The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Now, this is another classic, so a lot of people may have read this book already. It is that one there, top one, by Stephen Covey, 7 Habits. The principles that Stephen talks about and really starts to, you know, or dives into throughout the whole book are, again, like absolute core foundations of how successful people operate, funnily enough, given the title. So when you can go through this and really start to embody and like build your day, build your habits around these principles and start showing up in life in this way, massive changes are going to happen. You know, one of the foundations of everything that he talks about is leading with value. So leading with value, again, it's been just a foundation of everything that I've done over the last 3 years. It's so important, because when you put other people first and you make sure that everything you're doing is simply about helping people solve their problems, helping people about solve their challenges, revenue that you generate in your business, or money, is a direct result of the value that you provide. This is one of Stephen Covey's principles. So when you focus on providing value, you're helping people, you're actually creating impact, you're actually changing the world, and as a result of that, success will come. But if you just focus on money, you just focus on earning as much money as you can, and that's where your intention is, well, you're not going to be focused on providing value. And if you're not focused on providing value, you're not going to earn long-term sustainable revenue. You might get quick wins, you might get a flash in the pan, you know, you catch a trend or something like that, but it's not going to sustain, because you're not building something from the foundations that's actually going to serve the world and serve people. Because what's the stuff that you share with your friends, with your family? The stuff you share is people that you've actually benefited from, the stuff you share with people is things that you've actually benefited from. You know, things that have actually created positive change in your life. So with that in mind, like, if you as a business owner want people to, you know, really get on with your product, really get value from your products, and then talk about what you do, your products or service, and really talk about what you do, and really you want to like create impact and actual change in the world, like, you've got to focus on value. So that's one of Stephen Covey's principles. Another one as well that has massively served me is the way that he prioritizes things. So productivity. And he has a quadrant that he goes through in the book, which is about how to focus on your highest impact activities first. And what we'll often do when we write a to-do list is we'll literally do that. We'll just write a list of all the stuff that we have to do, and then we'll go through the list and we'll cross it off. but that is a very ineffective way of actually making real progress in our lives. And he explains why that is. And there's a quadrant which is called important but not time constrained, or important but not urgent. And that's the quadrant that we all miss. And that's generally where our highest impact stuff that is going to create the most transformation in our lives, that's where this stuff exists. And he goes through exactly how to make sure that we're putting intention into focusing on those areas, because that's where the growth is and that's what's going to move us forward. All right, really, really powerful book. Another one as well, which I would definitely recommend, is top one, To Sell is Human by Daniel Pink. So I was originally recommended this book by one of my mentors, and I've read a lot of sales books. Obviously, I come from a 10-year career in sales, that's my background, but I'd never read this book before I started in business. And To Sell is Human, again, like a major cornerstone of the book, is about value, about leading with value. And so many of us will see sales or salespeople as kind of sleazy and manipulative and, you know, really just out to try and close deals and get people to do things that they don't really want to do or that aren't really in their best interest. And that's not selling, you know, that's manipulation. So we have the choice, like in business, like the entire foundation of our business is sales, because sales equals cash flow. And without cash flow, you don't have a business. Sales is the most important thing in business. It drives, it's the lifeblood of your company. So if we're leading with value, right? If we're genuinely helping people, we're leading with value and we're making their lives better, and somebody has a direct problem that what we do can help solve and we can help improve their lives by selling our solution to their problem to that person, is that manipulation or is that helping them to live a better life? And if we're focusing on value and we're focusing on inspiring and we're selling in the right way, well, we're making people's lives and we're making the world a better place. And To Sell is Human really goes into that in a lot of detail. Really, really powerful book. There's a whole load of other stuff that Daniel Pink goes through as well. Like, I could probably talk about this book for ages. I'm not going to, but read it. Like, absolutely read it. I would probably say it's certainly one of the best sales books that I've ever read. And I'll maybe do another of these videos on sales books as well. But yeah, really, really powerful book. And then the final book that I'm going to touch on, and by the way, this was in no particular order. Probably should have clarified that at the start if I didn't. So, final book that I'm going to go through is Millionaire Success Habits by Dean Graziosi. So, I read this book for the first time about, I think it was 2.5 years ago. And then I've seen Dean speak a few times. I saw him at Traffic and Conversion Summit in San Diego in February of 2019 of this year. And a lot of what he's about, and his principles for success. One of the things that I found so powerful about them is it's not rocket science. It's really quite simple, and success really is pretty simple. We just overcomplicate it so much. And this book, like, something about it just really hit home for me, about how we do overcomplicate things, and how if we just stick to doing the things that work with consistent action, and we just do it relentlessly again and again and again and again with consistency, we will achieve that result. And I realized when I saw him in San Diego and heard him speak, I realized that, like, I'm kind of doing that stuff already. The only difference between him and me was time, right? It's just he's had more time, he's got more skin in the game. And so all I need to do is just consistently keep doing what I know to be true as what works, because I'm modeling other people who have achieved more of a result than me. And if I just keep doing that with consistent action, well, I'm going to get there. Like, I know that, but his book just really helped tie down a lot of this into something that is actually more like, well, yeah, that's obvious. And when you kind of know that it's obvious, that's when your belief is going to skyrocket. So again, really powerful book. Definitely recommend that. There is a lot more that I could probably add to this list, but to try and keep it kind of concise, that I think has been, you know, a foundation of business books that have massively created a lot of transformation, a lot of impact in my businesses and in my life. So if you've enjoyed this, if you want more like this, I'm going to, as I say, do more book reviews on my channel. I also do a lot of online business videos. I also do a lot of personal development and mindset videos, because the majority of success is not about the tactics and strategies and the hows and what you do. It's about what goes on up there, what you believe you're capable of, you know, how you deal with fear, all these kind of things. So that's what I'm passionate about, and that's what I believe is the foundation of success. So for all of that, for more like this, make sure to subscribe. You should see it on the screen right now. I think it's that corner. I sometimes get this the wrong way around. But yeah, make sure to subscribe and comment below if you've got value, if you've got other insights, other books to share, or if you've read any of the books that I've mentioned. I would love to hear from you. All right, thanks very much for watching. Really appreciate it, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.